When you can share stories, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And one of the greatest ways to show is share a story, because at the end of the day, everybody can relate to a story. And I don't share a lot of my personal journey publicly, but I'll briefly share just a testimony that is beginning to unfold for myself. And I'll give you a little background to kind of set things up. We all know before, a lot of us were on the boulevard and, having massive success. I lost up to 65 pounds on that program, and then the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, a lot of our lives shifted. Some of us weren't taking the products as frequently. Some of us, myself, the eating or the diet had changed to the point of where we weren't living that 100%, aside from Kevin Inglis, who stuck by, wasn't living that 100% keto lifestyle. But also what happened for me during that period is life became really sedentary. And when anything is at rest for a period of time, it begins to atrophy. And that is really what happened to me, and just beginning to deal with a lot of, I'll call it sometimes close to debilitating pain, just pain to walk. I mean, for me, it was pain to the point of where I didn't do things because I just agonized over, having to walk through an airport. I didn't
Recording in
take certain
progress.
trips because I agonized over, walking to the gate, walking to the bag check-in, just the things that that you're doing on a regular basis, or, hanging out with a friend or two, because you knew you got to park and you got to walk to the restaurant and you got to walk. So just things like that became an arduous, painful burden for me. And for me, it was one of those situations where it was just easier to avoid it. And, the dichotomy of it, or the juxtapose, if you will, is, a lot of times when things begin to get weak and atrophy, it's really about, strengthening those muscles. Well, the challenge is to do the things that strengthen the muscles, just increase the pain. So it was, dang if you do, dang if you don't, and so when we were introduced to Top Shelf, which reintroduced us to a lot of the products that we were taking, I started out obviously with the GTM because I love the value of a plant-derived mineral, the muscadine, ginger, and turmeric, all in one capsule. Also, was advised to start taking the bone and joint. And one of the things, and so, it would be a little benefit here. It would come and go. Um, but then Todd Smith started doing these videos that breaks down the four components, that talks about the different things that you're dealing with, what type of deficiency is. And I don't know if you guys realize he's really setting a foundation that we literally can go out and change the world, by sharing stories as the one I'm sharing with you. So I was watching one of the Zooms the other week, and he talked about the things that EFAs, I had never incorporated EFAs into my diet. And the two things he said that stuck out to me, he said, if you're not seeing results, and he said usually 60 to 90 days. So I gave myself grace. We started back in June. So 90 days was coming up about June, July, the end of August, going into September. But he said, if you're not seeing results, it's about either you're not absorbing it or you're not taking enough. So two things I did. I started taking more of what I was already taking, the bone and joint, the GTM, as well as I take the ATP balance. And then I add additional ginger and turmeric, but I incorporated the EFAs. And I'll tell you this, and because not a lot of people knew the extent of the pain, not a lot of people can appreciate the testimony that I experienced. I guess it was Monday, maybe Tuesday of last week, where I do some work. We've got two offices, and the offices are about 200 yards apart. And it's nothing for me to leave one office, walk to my truck to drive to the other office, only 200 yards. Tuesday, I felt great because I had increased my products. I had incorporated the EFAs. And, we're doing things in the morning and in the evening, just to increase the intake. And again, this is all in progress, but I felt better than I felt in a while that I walked to the other office. And, we've heard the saying, you don't know how much pain you were in until you start to feel better. And just the experience of being able to walk 200 plus yards to one office, hang out a little bit, and walk back, you have no idea just the little things that mean so much. Those little things become paramount because they become proof that if we do the things that we're learning and know to do, and not be fearful, because everything is high impact. So it's not well, I don't want to take two. I'm taking it all because I'm tired of being in pain. And to be able to do that, and again walk, it was the little things, but I was ready to run, because I've been years, this is years of being in really intense pain. And to be able to have that moment, it let me know I'm on the right track. Things are starting to materialize, and things are starting to improve and align. So again, I didn't want to be long, but I wanted to share that story because hopefully it inspires somebody, to remind you that this isn't a hard sell. This is just a sell of, we've got so many different testimonies and so many stories. It's just about sharing a story with somebody that they can connect with and relate to. And then the rest takes care of itself, because $14.99 a month is a no-brainer to be able to get free shipping and 50% off on products. Referring people to get product discount credits that I can buy down the price of the products, all of those are no-brainers. We just got to find different ways, and there's no way that's more powerful than sharing a story. So again, my testimony is in progress because I got excited. The next day I was sore, but I saw a glimpse, and now I'm just back in that mode of strengthening the muscles, because everything is interrelated. Strengthening those muscles to get back out and do the things that I need to do. But again, that's the same story for all of us. So with that, again, we weren't going to be before you long, but definitely wanted to share that story. And I appreciate you guys. I want to get you back to your Saturday, because our products literally are changing lives. So have a great Saturday, and thank you guys for jumping on.
In this message, I want to add some comments and context to Michael Bazemore's amazing story that he just shared, because he spoke about a number of things that I see very, very commonly when dealing with people who may not be getting the results they want. And it's really important, number one, to start out with the right dose. So there's a dose necessary if you are healthy and just trying to maintain that health. You don't have health issues. But the more health issues that you have and the worse that they are, the higher your dose of product needs to be. This also is true if you are a larger person, you're heavier, you're going to need more. So this is probably the number one flaw that I see, is simply not taking enough. So for example, you need a certain amount of B vitamins every single day just to have normal health, normal energy, and feel good. If you have a kidney problem, you're going to need 2 or 3 times that normal dose. So when I see someone with a kidney problem only using 1 serving of Sport and Go, I know that we have a problem. It's not that the Sport and Go is failing, it's that they're not taking a therapeutic dose. We have to think of the nutrition almost like a medication, in the sense that you have to take enough to get the right results. Or another example of this is, we love the GTM Heirloom Botanicals product, but let's say you're someone that has more health issues or you have digestive issues and you're only taking 2 or 3 capsules a day. That is hardly even a maintenance dose. The actual maintenance dose is 6 capsules a day. So if you're someone that has lots of health issues, digestive issues, lots of inflammation, or even other health issues or other diagnoses, you need to take a lot more. So you're going to be more in that 12 to 18 a day range. So this is something that I see all of the time and probably the biggest problem. Sometimes people simply forget the nutrition that they need for their health condition, so they might forget to order it, run out of it, and just forget about it. So whenever someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm taking the products, not getting the results, my first question is always, well, what are you taking on a daily basis? 9 times out of 10, there's products that they're forgetting, they're skipping, or they're not taking enough of. Now, the next most common thing that we see is a problem with absorption. So again, we're taking products, but we're not absorbing them very well. And this is where we have to look at how do we support digestion. One of the best ways to support digestion is to increase your intake of ginger. And we can do that by increasing the GTM heirloom botanicals. Again, we would be looking at more of that 12 to 18 capsules a day dosing. Or you can simply add some extra ginger into your protocol, getting the ginger capsules as a separate product. Because of my own health history, I like to add extra ginger on a daily basis because I know it's helping my digestive tract, it's helping my absorption, it's helping me to properly absorb everything, and it's also functioning as an enzyme for my body, both to provide some enzyme action to break food down, but also to help my body produce its own enzymes. So if I've covered those two things, that we're on the right dose and we are supporting digestion. And if you want to know a lot more about digestion, you can refer back to our 10-part detox and cleansing series. There's 3 videos that are dedicated entirely to digestion where we dive deep into this, because this is a really, really big thing. Sometimes even if you're taking the right amount of nutrition in high enough doses, we still aren't seeing results because you're not absorbing it. So these are the first 2 things that we look at. And then the third problem that I see often is you're just not taking the products that you need to recover. So, for example, if you're taking the GTM, the Sport and Go, the Daily Detox, those are wonderful products. But if you're someone that's been in a car accident or you have a bunch of problems with bones and joints, discs maybe, those types of issues, you've got to be supplementing with the specific nutrients that the bones and joints need. Those aren't really in the GTM, the Sport and Go, and the Daily Detox. This is when you need to turn to products like the Bone and Joint from Top Shelf, maybe the Relax and CalMag from my website. You have to take the nutrients specific to the part of the body that you're trying to rebuild. And this was something that you notice in Michael Bazemore's story. He was struggling with some of these things because not only was he not taking enough, but he was missing some of the products that he needed to rebuild, like the EFA Red, for example, in his story. So when people come to me, rather than saying, let's see if we can find you 5 new products to take or 5 new strategies, I always check to see, are they taking the right products to begin with? Are they taking enough? And are we absorbing? So those are the first steps to troubleshooting when we're not getting the results that we want. On top of that is consistency. The body doesn't heal overnight, unfortunately. I wished it did. And it needs to know that it can rely on you to provide it the raw ingredients to keep healing. So if you're taking your Sport and Go some of the time, but not all the time, and you're trying to fix something like your kidneys, you're not going to see great results until you take it regularly and the body has that regular infusion of nutrition, it can trust you and it knows it can heal. And this applies to any health condition. If you're trying to reverse a brain condition or a neurological situation and your diet and your supplementation is all over the place, you're not giving your blood sugar a chance to stabilize. You're not consistently feeding the brain, so it doesn't know what's going on. It's doing the best it can, but you have to provide it that consistency and reliability. If you're eating high fat one day and high sugar the next, the brain is not going to cope well with that, and you're not going to see the improvements that you want to. And certainly we can't be perfect. Life happens and things go up and down, and that's totally fine. What I would rather see you do than be perfect or even strive for perfection is to customize a lifestyle to what works for you so that you can do it on a regular basis. Maybe it's not perfect, but it is stable, so the body knows what to expect, knows what to plan on, and can heal from that space. It is better to be consistent than to be perfect. So hopefully that gives you a little insight into some of the things you can do when you're trying to optimize your supplement protocols and get better results.